Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Gardener. I hope you guys are fine and are safe. So I was getting a lot of questions related with when should we water our succulents. So I wanted to make a video on it, but before I make that video, I wanted to talk a little bit about succulents. Now this is not going to be related with any specific succulent care, but it's going to be a general topic that I wanted to talk about related with the photosynthesis of succulents, because it's very important for us to understand the basics. Especially if we are growing succulents, we need to understand every detail about succulents, and that's what we are going to be talking in this video. Now I'm sure we all know about photosynthesis of plants. So as we all know, photosynthesis is the most important part of plant world. Every plant requires a good amount of sunlight in order to start the process of photosynthesis, which means that they need to prepare their food. But when it comes to succulents, there is going to be a slight difference, and that's what we are going to be talking in this video. So now, talking about photosynthesis, there are at least 3 different pathways in which photosynthesis can occur. Now they are known as C3, C4 and CAMP. Now CAMP is basically the abbreviation. I will put the full form on the screen. Now we have 3 categories. First one is C3. Now C3 is a normal condition wherein all of our foliage plants, our regular plants, flowering plants, fruiting trees, vegetables, everything fall under the C3. Now basically C3 is something wherein there is a regular photosynthesis, wherein the plants do their photosynthesis under the sunlight, wherein the stoma is open during the day. Now this is a very important point to know. Now during the C3 category of photosynthesis, the regular plants which we have are regular house plants. They tend to have, or they tend to fall under the C3 category, which means they tend to do their photosynthesis during the daytime. Now when the photosynthesis is being carried out, the plant has to open its stoma in order to do the exchange of gases. Now during this process of photosynthesis, 95% of the water is evaporated from the plant. That is the reason why you might have noticed that if you do not water your house plants, even for a day, you will tend to see that they tend to wilt and they tend to look little droopy. The leaves tend to look very droopy. The reason is because there is a lot of water evaporation from the leaves, from the stem, from the plant itself. Almost 95% of the water is evaporated during the process of photosynthesis, which is conducted during the daytime, because the stoma is open. There's a lot of water that passes through in and out, due to which the plant tends to look very droopy and it tends to wilt. Now this reason is why we tend to water our regular house plants more often compared to our succulents. Now coming to C4 and CAMP. Now C4 is a category wherein there is high temperature, there is too much of water, or there is too much of strong light. Those plants fall under the C4 category. And the last category, as I said, is the CAMP. Now in this category, it's due to high temperature and very low water availability, which our succulents fall under. So as I said, C3 is for normal conditions, whereas C4 and CAMP photosynthesis are both adaptations to arid conditions, wherein the temperatures are very warm or very hot, wherein there is very little rainfall or hardly any water. So CAMP plants have adapted, our succulents have adapted, our cactus have adapted to those arid conditions. Now what is the purpose of CAMP photosynthesis? Now guys, remember, as we spoke about this, our regular house plants, they do their photosynthesis during the daytime, and during this time 95% of the water is evaporated during the time of photosynthesis. So now over here, CAMP is basically opposite to C3 photosynthesis. Now in CAMP plants, obviously you know that succulents belong to a very arid condition. Now let's say that if a succulent had to do a normal photosynthesis like the C3, we can imagine they have stored a lot of water in their leaves because they do not have a lot of water. Now imagine your succulent doing a regular photosynthesis during the daytime. It is going to lose 95% of the water from the leaves. So then it makes no sense of storing the water in the leaves if 95% of the water is going to be lost. And that's where the CAMP category comes into picture. Now CAMP photosynthesis will happen during the night time, especially with succulents and cacti. So the camp plants are completely opposite to the C3 plants. Camp plants will take the carbon dioxide during the night hours, fixing it within the plant as an organic acid with the help of an enzyme that is present inside the plant. So basically they will start their photosynthesis once the sun sets and it gets a little cooler and there is a little bit of humidity in the air during the night time. Camp plants will start their photosynthesis. But always remember, every plant requires sunlight in order to make their food. Now that is the reason why camp plants tend to have two types of photosynthesis. One is done during the night and one is done during the day. In the night time, they only absorb the carbon dioxide and they tend to store it within them. And as soon as the daylight hits, so with the sun's energy during the daylight, the stored organic acid which was stored during the night time is now broken down internally with the help of the enzyme to release carbon dioxide within the plant to make the sugar. Now during this time the stoma is going to be closed, because as we said, if the stoma opens up there is going to be evaporation of the water which the succulents cannot do. So during the day the stoma can remain closed using the internally released carbon dioxide and then sealing the plant off from outside environment, due to which there is no water loss during the daytime from the succulents. So in this way the camp plants tend to create their photosynthesis. So one photosynthesis is done during the night wherein they collect the carbon dioxide. At this point of time the stoma is open. Now because the environment is already very humid, the temperatures are cooler, so there is not much loss of water. And once the sun starts to hit, once it gets morning, the stoma will be closed and whatever the succulent has stored during the night is now going to be converted into sugar without opening the stoma. So you can see how nature has made them in such a way wherein they can survive in arid conditions. They can still continue to do their photosynthesis during the daytime without opening their stoma. So in short, C4 and camp photosynthesis are both adaptations to arid conditions because they are more efficient in conserving water for the plant. Now this is basically because we all know in arid conditions the temperatures can be really high, the light can be really strong, and there can be very little rainfall, due to which these plants have to survive in such a condition, and that's why they have evolved and adapted such type of photosynthesis in order for them to grow. Now as they say, everything has their pros and cons. The pros of camp and C4 is that they can do or conduct their photosynthesis with very minimum water loss. Now as they say, every advantage has a disadvantage. Now the disadvantage of C4 and camp photosynthesis is that this is going to reduce the growth rate, or basically it is going to slow down the growth rate of our plants, and that is one of the reason why our succulents do not, or succulents in general do not grow very fast. It's because of this one little process of photosynthesis. Because of these two different type of photosynthesis, one during the night and one during the daytime. Now because of this entire process, the succulents growth rate or the speed of growth tends to get reduced because of these two types of photosynthesis. And it's nothing related with that you're not taking care of your succulents or you're not providing a good amount of fertilizer. That's the reason why the succulent is not growing. That's completely false. This is how the succulent is built. This is how the succulent tends to grow. It has a very slow growth rate. So this is one of the reason why the succulents have a very slow growth rate compared to our regular plants. So guys, I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep propagating.